7 Democrats and 1 independent voted with the Republicans to fund the government through, I think it's January. And in doing so, they yielded on a core Democratic demand that the Obamacare subsidies be fully funded by making millions of Americans food insecure, by depriving many federal workers of their livelihood, by putting the entire economy at risk. This administration appears to have calculated that they could bend the necessary number of Democratic lawmakers to their will, and it turns out that they were right. This ruthless strategy reminds me of a book by Shinsaku Endo named Silence. It's about missionaries in the 17th century, Jesuits headed to Japan to help support the minority Christian believers in Japan. Christianity was outlawed. The church that then existed was an underground church. These Jesuit missionaries knew that they were at great risk. They were prepared to be tortured for their mission. They were prepared to die. But what they were not prepared for is what happened to them. At least the 2 missionaries who actually went to Japan. One became ill and could not go. Because what the magistrate into whose power these 2 missionaries fell did was, instead of torturing the Jesuits, instead of slaughtering the Jesuits, he did that to their believers, the followers, the Christians that the Jesuit missionaries had come to help, that the Jesuit missionaries had learned to love in their brief time on the island. Those Jesuits were prepared to die. They were prepared to be tortured, but they were not prepared to stand by while these innocent Christians suffered. And so they capitulated. They at least outwardly renounced their Christian religion, and they lived the rest of their lives as Japanese peasants, unable to openly worship their God and their Lord. Sometimes, of course, ruthlessness is necessary. Abraham Lincoln was renowned for his compassion, but even he permitted a hanging to go forward of a Union soldier who had not only deserted, but he had encouraged others to desert with him. Even Dante said that there is a literally special place in hell for leaders who cherish their personal piety above their duty to govern effectively. Of course, sometimes ruthless strategies fail. For all the despicable ruthlessness of the Third Reich was crushed. And even if a ruthless regime succeeds, as Christ said, what is the point of gaining the world and losing your soul? The book of Ecclesiastes says that for everything there is a season and a time. And I suppose there's a time for ruthlessness, there's a time for compassion. What president has America ever had that more effectively balanced ruthlessness and compassion than Abraham Lincoln? He prosecuted a devastating, costly, and bloody war. He did not yield, even though he may have believed that his firm position on the war would result in him being turned out of office after his first term when he faced a peace candidate from the Democratic Party. And yet, you read his speeches, you look at his life, you look at what he did, and you see that there was compassion for his foes in abundance. There's even a story of him inadvertently doing a kindness to a man who was firmly opposed to him, and when he found out that he had done a kindness to this foe, Abraham Lincoln was delighted. And you can read his second inaugural address with malice toward none, charity toward all, and see that there was no ill will with him. And after the bloody battle, he wanted to rebuild the unity of the United States and show compassion to his vanquished foes. In these troubled times, Abraham Lincoln is worth studying. I think there's a book called Lincoln's Faith. There's another book called Differ We Must. And those are two good starting points among the thousands of books that have been written about Abraham Lincoln. There's also Steven Spielberg's epic movie, Lincoln, which has to count as one of the greatest films. So, I do not judge the senators who made the decision to vote with their Republican colleagues to fund the government. I believe that the decision that they made was one that a person of good morals and intelligence could have made. I also understand and do not denounce those people who are disappointed or even dismayed by the decisions that those senators made. It's November 15, 2025. The history of this era is still being written. We don't know what the ultimate outcome of the decisions of the administration and the decisions of those who oppose them will be. I firmly believe that there are Democrats and Republicans of all stripes who are striving to make conscientious, moral decisions. May God bless our legislative branch. May God bless our executive branch. May God bless our judicial branch. May God bless the United States of America.